What's up, everybody? How you doing tonight? I am coming in with a different type of video. I've talked about doing it a few times, and I haven't actually made it into doing it. But I think tonight is going to be the first time I'm going to do a deck review. Had some comments talking about decks, and I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive into my decks. And I also wanted to give a shout out to some YouTubers like Hippie and Vulcan, and I think it's Noise Guy. And if I'm forgetting anyone, I'm sorry, but I've drawn a lot of inspiration from the awesome YouTube community that is out there for Warno and for the Broken Arrow and Steel Division and Wargame Red Dragon. And I thought it was about time that I showed some of my decks and talked about a little bit of my philosophy for the units that I bring into battle. Um, Today is going to be about my newest deck that I built that is one of my favorites, hands down. I actually scored my highest kill game with this deck, and I posted it as a post on my feed on YouTube. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and pop into that here. I named it my SF deck because it's like a special forces deck. It's going to be the Russian Marines and VDV deck. So I don't know if I pronounce this right, but it's Morskaya and VDV, Airborne, DVD. Uh, so let's get into it. This is like perfect 10,000 out of 10,000 deck, which I messed around with a little bit to get there, but for good reason. Trying to maximize it. We'll start out with the Recon tab here. So in the Recon tab, bring along the... Let's go ahead and pop in there. There we go. Okay. So in the Recon tab, I bring two VDV snipers. I think snipers are one of the most important recon units to have because they have great stealth at 3 stealth. Um, it's really good to be able to turn off their weapons. You just hit don't return fire and stick them in the woods and have them watch for enemies. So they're one of my favorite recon units. The Razvedka, again, this is a good like forward infantry, good for like sticking in the woods along the side of a road, and a lot of times I'll leave their weapons on so that if a truck comes rolling by, they can get a sneaky RPG shot off. I'm gonna let them do it. So we bring 2 of those along. The transports for these, I've just got 4 Typhoons, and the reason I have 4 is because I played around with what I had, and having 4 of these makes the most sense to me. It lets me bring in the most units, and I believe that just about any of my units can actually ride in the Typhoons. So that's why I have 4 of those, and they're also cheap at 35 points a pop. The next one is the Spetsnaz VMF. These guys are just great. I have them upgraded to the fire support role, which gives them the heavy snipers and what I'm guessing is like a anti-material rifle. Again, just a solid recon unit, and they fight really well. The Orion I bring because I like having that recon drone. If you haven't used them in the game yet, they work really well in Broken Arrow. The one that I've seen so far in Warno has not been super effective, but this one you can kind of fly behind your lines and it actually works out really well. It's very effective. And then you throw a couple of ATGMs on there, and I could probably go with the Vikirs. I think you get a little bit less damage, or wait, what is that? A little bit less penetration with the Vikir, but a little more damage. I don't know. I've run it with the Cornet. It seems to work pretty well, but maybe we'll give the Vikir a try. They're good for vehicles. I think, yeah, the thermal barracks can actually target infantry. They just need to be laser designated. So, anyways, so we'll go with that. We give them the upgraded sensors, lets you see further. Again, I only bring 1 of those. I don't use it a ton, but if I need to scout an area that I can't see, I'm sending 1 of those. These little trucks. Okay. They have a minigun mounted on them. you can upgrade them to a metis or a grenade launcher or whatever, but at 40 points, these things absolutely shred infantry, and especially in buildings, and they can do it from 600 meters away, which is, I believe, out of the range of most RPGs. So if you're carefully microing, you can actually keep that truck back and shred infantry with it. And at 40 points, it's cheap. And I think I used to have 4 or 5 of these in the deck, but I've kind of traded it off for the Typhoons. Next up, I bring this Machina S MRU. They're pretty decently camouflaged vehicle, but they also have really good optics. You can see almost 2,400 meters, which is what I think that boils down to. And they hide decently well. The next one I bring is the Spetsnaz. Again, this is like a good infantry fighting unit. They have really good stealth. They can do a little bit of everything, and I bring them in a BMD4 as a unit support vehicle, an IFV. So that's going to do it for the recon tab. Obviously, we're not using all the points here, but that's because we made it up in other areas. So we'll go into infantry next. The Cerne Berete, which I believe is Black Berets, 14-man squad, which is key. And grenade launchers, I have them upgraded to the better... Oh, wait, I don't have them upgraded. You can upgrade them to the better RPG, but I didn't to minimize the points here because I wanted to be able to bring both of them, and I think that would tip me over. So I didn't do that. I could probably cut something somewhere else and upgrade them if I wanted to, but these guys fight really hard. They're really good against infantry, and they'll kill a lot of vehicles. One thing with them, though, is that the only vehicle they can come in is this BT-3 or helicopters. So I've started bringing them in this BT-3F just so that I can guarantee I can get them into the fight without having to worry about air cover. Next is going to Strelki. These guys are awesome. They have an SVD, they have a Metis, they have a grenade launcher. Fight super hard, pretty hard to kill. Even though it's a 7-man unit, I've had good experience with them. I bring them in the BTR 80s. Again, this is because these are IFVs, and if I'm going to bring a full complement of infantry, I want these guys to be able to come in. The more Sky I can ride in that same one. These are your standard line infantry. They're Marines. I can bring them in the BTR 80s. Yeah, it just works. VDV Metis. These guys come with a heavy machine gun. They have a Metis. Smaller unit, but I bring them with an IFV as support, and they seem to do pretty well. You have to have man pads, so we bring the VDV Agla in. Pretty effective. I'll get more into AA later, but these are a good like frontline man pad to have. You bring them in the Skrezit. This ZU does pretty well. I think, you know, if I had points to play around with, I might mess around with that ZU-23-2M, or even with the Igla, but the way they come in right now, these, again, like shred infantry with these things, and they also do a pretty good job against helicopters. You got your VDV. Again, this is kind of my standard line infantry unit. It's only 5 guys, but these guys are a little more hardened. They fight a little bit harder. PKMs, whereas these guys get RPKs, so the PKM's actually a little bit better, has a little bit better range. You get 2 of them. I like this unit a lot. Recent addition for me was these AGS 30s. At first, I wasn't a big fan, but what I found is that those dual grenade launchers, if you're in a tree line and guys are advancing, like these things will shred an infantry unit coming at them. And they too can ride in, where are those guys? Right here. They can ride in any of the BMDs. So these are all carefully structured transports based on what can ride in them. And all these guys can ride in any of these. So that's why I have that kind of divided the way that it is. The one thing with doing this specialization that I will tell you right now is that the Marine and Airborne combined does not get access to the best tanks. So you can get a modernized T-80 BVM, and they fight fairly well, but they will lose to better tanks. So you have to have helicopters and CAS. with this deck. It's the most important part of this deck, is that when these guys encounter more tanks, you have to be quick to get your Kaz in there. These guys are meant for light vehicles and some light tanks and infantry. I bring 3 of those. I bring 3 of the Spruts. Again, this is a modernized Sprut. They fight really well, but if you go up against a main battle tank from the US, this thing will not win. And then we've got these BMOP Toros. They've got a autocannon, 30 mil, and I think they have 4 Cornets. Yeah, 4 Cornet missiles. So again, same thing. Infantry fighting vehicle, light vehicles. The Cornets do okay against tanks, but you're not going to win that fight unless you get the jump on them or call in Kaz. Yeah, that's just, it is what it is. Next up, the support tab. This is a very, very important tab, and it has been very carefully structured, but it is definitely something you can play with if you find things that you like better. This is just what works for me in the way that I play. I bring 2 of the Tors. The Tors are awesome AA. They're towed. They carry 16 missiles, and they will shoot down anything and everything. You gotta have them. I pair them with the S350 VTS. I don't do the upgraded missile because they cost significantly more. But you get 12 of these, you set them up, you turn on the radar, and they're going to knock down cruise missiles all day. And if you've played Broken Arrow so far, you know that people love to spam cruise missiles. So having these is really important. The next one is supply. This one has some variants. If you want to bring in the Kamas and use that as your primary supply route, you can. I like these things because they can carry 30,000 tons of weight, or 30,000 pounds, or whatever that equals to. It equals to a lot, so you bring a lot of supply pretty easily. They're not very fast, but they are efficient with how much they can carry. I have this for when I need it quickly. This is just if I need to bring a little bit of supply real quick up to the front lines. This is when I'm trying to supply my VTAs or reload tanks or reload the Tor. That's what that's there for. The Barrag. So this is where the variance comes in. You decide what works for you. I like having a couple of these Barrags. The artillery's great. I don't upgrade them. Good HE. Fire where you need it. They've got decent range. They still got to be up close, but they do a good job. And I think, yeah, they shoot just as far as Magnolia, which is a really cool one. You can even upgrade that one to cluster rounds. There's the Drak that's even closer. It's smaller, but it's faster. The Nonas, the Vodskas, like, they're all here. It's just a matter of what you want to use. Early on, I like the Iskander. If they do not have Patriots or the Vityaz set up, the S350s, you can hammer their positions with this. But if they do, it's pointless to even have this, and I've found that recently it's been more pointless, and it just kind of sits in my deck and doesn't get used. So I ditched it for stuff that I will use. Next up is helicopters. So the first one off the bat is Mi-26. This is a huge chopper. It's able to carry a ton of weight. One of the things I love about this game is the different skins you can put on them. Looks super cool. Anyways, back to this. The Mi-26. Awesome helicopter. You can bring a ton of supplies. More importantly, you can also bring a ton of dudes on this. You can even load up some light tanks like BMDs, and I think even the Sprut. There are a few different things that'll fit on this that you can carry with this helicopter and fly it to the front lines. So this is a really cool helicopter to have in your deck. The next one is Mi-28. This is my kind of do-it-all chopper. I bring 2 of these. They're 270 points. They are not cheap, but they have 6 Vikirs for going against tanks. They have 4 Iglas for taking out other helicopters or planes. And they have 40 S8 rockets. These are a little bit of a do-it-all, and they also have the mounted 30 mil. These guys wreck shop. You want to have these. Next one's the Mi-24s. If you know about the Mi-24, it's a troop transport that is also a close air support chopper. Ooh, I didn't know they had. I love that when they put the eyes on there. Let's check these out. Oh, what? I have not seen that one. The rusted ones are awesome. That's going to be ours. You can put a small unit on there. If they're less than 8 guys, they'll fit on here. You can fly them to the front lines and support them. So this is a cool one to have. I have 4 of these. This deck is built around mobility. I want to be able to get places quickly, drop guys off, and be able to protect them while they're there. The other half of that is that I spent the least amount of money I could on getting them armed. So 10 points, 10 points, 30 points sets you up with a 30 cal and 80 S8 rockets. These guys can stay on site for a minute and they'll kill a bunch of stuff. It's a great chopper to have. Last, one of my favorite helicopters in the entire world, the Ka-52. Super, super cool helicopter. This is the K variant. I have 40 S8s and 12 Attackas. These Attackas are awesome. This is a preference thing. You can totally upgrade this. You can go with the KH-35Us. You can go with the Hermes. You go with what works for the way that you play is the most important thing. For me, this is what's been working, so this is what I've been going with. Skin-wise, I think there's a couple cool ones in here. This is my favorite. I love the like shark teeth on it. So that's it for the helicopter tab. Last, my favorite tab, being my name, is Kaz Daddy. I love Kaz. I love close air support. I love calling in jets. I love talking them on target. Su-57. This plane is loaded out for long-range AA and anti-radiation for taking down enemy AA. This is a seed plane with the capability of long-range AA. Right? That's what this is built for. This is a fast-moving plane. And I have it slotted that way for that reason. I want it to be able to come in, fire off a couple missiles, take out AA, take out a plane, and then get the hell out of there. That's the whole point of this thing. Next up, T-160. As I'm sure you can guess, this deck being the deck that it is, I have a nuke. At first, it was just because I wanted to try it out. I'd seen other people do it. But I'll tell you, there will come a time where this thing will save your bacon. You'll be able to knock a point down, take it over, and capture a point that was heavily defended because you dropped this on it. I don't spam these, I don't overuse them, but I have used it less than a handful of times, and in the times I've used it, it's led to us winning the round. So this is a preference thing. You could save 1,000 points off your deck and put them elsewhere without this. Hell, you could even still bring this plane and load it up with bombs. That's up to you. This is how I use it. This is how I like it set up. Next one is the MiG-29K. This sweet black skin on it looks so cool. This thing is filled and fueled for one purpose, and that is taking out enemy aircraft. It has 2 fuel tanks to stay on station longer, 2 R-77s medium range AA, and then it has an extra 2 R-77s and R-73s for short range, so medium and short range with guns. This thing's a mover. It's here to take out enemy planes. That's its sole purpose. I've only got one of them. I don't use them a lot. It's there. It serves its purpose. If you've messed with these, they do a great job, and at the price, you can't beat them. Finally, last but not least, oh yeah, baby, we have the Tu-22M3. Look at that sucker. You know what's funny is I thought I had saved this with this skin on it. I like that one, but this one looks sick. I have this set up for one purpose, and that is blowing the holy hell out of the enemy. I could load it up with even more bombs, but when I added this, I was at a point crunch already, so this is what it got loaded with. It's got 18 250-pound fabs and 24 500-pound fabs. These are called in with one purpose, and that is to hammer the enemy position. This is a double down on the TU-160 without going nuclear, and it's half the price. I could probably honestly eliminate the TU-160, go to a double TU-22, and get the same effect that I'm looking for, but it doesn't look as cool. It's something I might do on a different deck, but for right now, I like the way this is set up. There are some other things you can mess around with here. The SU-30s, and I think the SU... Which one was it? Is it 35? One of these. Oh, there you go. The SU-34 can also be loaded out to holy hell with all kinds of bombs, missiles, pods, you name it. They can be on it. This thing slaps. So if you want a good close support, this is it. But it's really expensive. So I opted for the TU-22. Not as fast, but holds so many bombs. Yeah, so that kind of does it. That's my SF deck with Russia. It's a more Sky Airborne deck. Feel free to utilize it, make it your own, copy it exactly. I don't care. Do what you want with it. Just have fun. And if you like the deck and you use it, leave a comment. Until next time, guys. Thanks. Have a good one.